Despite the norm in our world, the day I turned 21, I didn't drink alcohol. And over a year later, I still haven't. Now, when most people hear that, they look at me like I have 3 heads. The day I turned 21, everybody seemed to ask the same question. What's your first drink gonna be? Not what goals I had in this new chapter of life, not what I was excited about, just what alcohol I was gonna drink. And honestly, I never understood why that was such a big deal. Maybe I'm wired differently. Maybe I'm too logical, but when I looked at alcohol, I always found myself asking the same question. What's the appeal? It costs money, it can become addictive, it's bad for your health, yet somehow drinking is one of the most normalized things in our culture. So in this video, I want to explain why I've never had a drink, why I don't plan to anytime soon, and why I think the pressure to drink at 21 is a lot stranger than people realize. Now, if you're watching this and you do drink, you're probably thinking, what's the big deal? And honestly, that's kind of my point. For most people, drinking isn't even a decision, it's just what you do. You turn 21, you go to the bar, you order a drink, you take a picture, and you celebrate. It's almost like a rite of passage. In fact, if someone told you that they made it past 21 without ever drinking, you'd probably be a little surprised. Why? Because we've been taught that drinking is normal. We've been told it's how you celebrate, it's how you loosen up, it's how you meet people, and it's how you have fun. And maybe you've even felt that pressure yourself. Have you ever been at a party where everyone else is drinking and you felt awkward being the only one holding a water bottle? Have you been asked why you're not drinking as if you need some sort of explanation? It's interesting when you think about it. Nobody asks somebody why they aren't smoking cigarettes. Nobody asks why they aren't gambling. But when it comes to alcohol, choosing not to participate almost feels like you're breaking somewhat of a social rule. The belief is simple. Drinking equals fun, confidence, connection, and a good time. And if everyone around you believes that, it's easy to assume that it must be true. I believed that was the case too, but the more I watched the people around me, the more I started asking a question that nobody seemed to have a good answer for. Is alcohol actually creating those things, or are we just giving alcohol the credit? The reason I started questioning it all the time is because the more I looked at alcohol, the less sense it made to me personally. If somebody came up to you and offered you a product that was expensive, unhealthy, dehydrated you, made you feel terrible the next morning, and increased your chances of making decisions you would regret, would you buy it? Probably not. But somehow when we put alcohol in a glass and make it a social activity, all of those downsides get ignored. And that's the part I've never understood. I've watched people spend $8 to $10 to $15 on a single drink. Then they'll buy several more throughout the night. Like, have they ever added up what those costs would be over a month or over a year? Imagine that money going towards your goals, your future, your hobbies, your relationships, or experiences that you'll actually remember. Then there's the physical side, ignoring the financial side. Most people know what it's like to wake up feeling exhausted after a night out, head pounding, energy drained, the entire next day basically written off. Why is feeling awful the next day considered a normal price to pay for having a fun night before? And before somebody says, well, drinking helps me relax, man, I'd ask another question. Why do we need a substance to help us enjoy ourselves in the first place? Shouldn't fun be fun without needing a chemical boost? Again, this isn't me just judging people who drink. If you enjoy it and do it responsibly, that's your choice. I'm just saying that every time I've looked at the costs and compared them to the benefits, I've come to the same conclusion. For me, the trade-off has never seemed worth it. Now, a lot of people will probably watch this and say, well, you've never drank before, so how would you know? And look, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. That's fair. I've never experienced being drunk. I've never experienced being hungover. I've never experienced being buzzed. I've never experienced walking into a bar and ordering a drink. But I have spent the last few years in college watching the people around me do that exact thing. And honestly, that's part of why I've never felt interested in trying it. When I look at drinking, I don't see the highlight reel. I don't see the Instagram story. I don't see the funny moment that gets talked about for a week afterwards. I see everything that comes with it. I've watched people spend an entire week looking forward to Friday night just to spend Saturday recovering from Friday night. I've watched people throw up. I've watched people wake up feeling miserable. I've watched people look delusional while they walk down the streets. I've watched people spend entire weekends revolving around alcohol and then complain that they have no money. And that's the part I don't understand. We're talking about college students here. Most of us aren't exactly swimming in cash, yet somehow spending $8 to $10 to $12 on a drink is considered completely normal. Think about that for a second. People will stress over buying a textbook, complain about the prices of groceries and gas, and worry about paying rent. But then they think nothing of dropping $50 or $60 in one night on drinks. How does that make any sense? What's even stranger to me is that a lot of people don't even like alcohol when they first try it. Seriously, have you ever heard somebody take their first sip of beer and say, wow, that tastes absolutely amazing? Usually it's the opposite. Most people admit that they hated the taste at first. So let me get this straight. You spend money on something that doesn't taste good, isn't good for your health, makes you feel worse the next day, and could potentially lead to addiction if you're not careful, and somehow I'm the weird one for not wanting to try it. Maybe that's why I've never been able to understand the obsession, because when I look around, it feels like people are constantly chasing something through alcohol that alcohol can never give them. They're looking for confidence, they're looking for connection, they're looking for excitement, they're looking for an escape from stress, they're looking for a good time, but then next weekend comes around and they're right back looking for the exact same things again. And maybe that's what bothers me the most. Not that people drink, not that people enjoy going out with their friends, but that alcohol has become so normalized that nobody even questions it anymore. It's just assumed that when you turn 21, you'll join in. It's assumed you'll have a favorite drink. It's assumed you'll spend weekend at bars. It's assumed you'll eventually come around. Yet after watching it for years, I still find myself asking the same questions. What exactly am I missing? Because from where I'm standing, the reward has never looked big enough to justify the cost. Maybe for some people it is, but every example I've personally seen has pushed me further in the opposite direction. And that's why, even at 21, I've never had a drink. And that's why I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything either. And that's where this whole thing comes back to for me. After watching people drink throughout college, after hearing all the reasons people give it, after seeing the money spent, the hangovers, the regretful decisions, and the weekends built around it, I still find myself stuck on one simple question. What's the point? I'm not asking that to be sarcastic. I'm not asking that to insult people who drink. I genuinely want to know. Because every time somebody asks me why I don't drink, I feel like nobody has ever stopped to ask the opposite question. Why do you drink? Is it because you enjoy the taste? Most people I've talked to say they didn't at first. Is it because it's good for your health? Obviously not. Is it because it's cheap? Definitely not. So what is it? And if your answer to that question is it's fun, then I'd ask another question. Can you only have fun if alcohol is involved? Because some of the best moments of my life didn't involve drinking at all. Playing sports, hanging out with friends, going on dates with my lady, traveling, making YouTube videos, having deep conversations with people that I know that they'll actually remember having. None of those experiences required alcohol to be meaningful. So why has our culture convinced so many people that drinking is almost a requirement for a good time? That's the part I can't wrap my head around. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe there are people watching this who completely disagree with me. But if I have to spend money, put something unhealthy into my body, risk becoming dependent on it, and feel worse afterwards just to enjoy a night out, and I honestly don't see the appeal. And that's why even after turning 21, I've never felt tempted to start. Because the more I think about it, the more I come back to the same conclusion, like I've talked about throughout this entire video. Nobody has ever given me a reason to drink that was compelling enough to make me want to start. So, after everything I've said in this video, you might think my conclusion is that nobody should ever drink, but that's actually not my conclusion at all. I don't think drinking is inherently evil. I don't think someone is a bad person because they enjoy a beer with friends, have a glass of wine with dinner, or go out occasionally and drink responsibly. If alcohol isn't controlling your life, damaging your relationships, hurting your finances, or causing you to make reckless decisions, then that's your choice. You're an adult and you get to decide what you want to do with your life. My issue has never really been with people who drink. My issue has been with the assumption that everyone should. The assumption that turning 21 automatically means alcohol needs to become a part of your life. The assumption that if you don't drink, you're missing out on something. The assumption that you're somehow boring, sheltered, or weird if you'd rather order a water than a beer. I've never understood that mindset. Because when I look at alcohol, I don't see something that adds enough value to my life to justify the downsides. Could I go out tomorrow and have a drink? Sure. But what would I actually gain? That's the question I always come back to. For me personally, the pros have always felt pretty small. Maybe I'd enjoy a buzz. Maybe I'd fit in a little more in certain social situations. Maybe I'd understand what everyone's talking about. But for me, after watching it, thinking about it, and being asked about it consistently since turning 21, I've reached a different conclusion. And until someone can show me a reason that's more compelling than everyone else does it, I don't see a reason to start. But at the end of the day, the biggest lesson I want people to take away from this video isn't that alcohol is evil or that everyone who drinks is making a mistake. It's much more simpler than that. I want people to be intentional about how they live their lives. Like I said earlier, if drinking is something you enjoy in moderation and it's not hurting any area of your life, that's your decision. But I think too many people never stop and ask themselves whether alcohol is actually helping them become the person they want to be. Because life is short, and every weekend, every dollar, Remember, every hour of your time is valuable. When I look at my 20s, I don't want to waste my weekends. I don't want to look back and realize I spent thousands of dollars on drinks when I could have been investing that money instead, saving for a house, paying off debt, building a business, or creating more opportunities for my future. I also don't want people chasing things in bars that they're unlikely to find there. A lot of people are looking for purpose, connection, love, and meaningful relationships, but those things usually aren't at the bottom of a glass. They're found in real life. They're found through shared experiences, conversations, communities, hobbies, work, school, faith, and becoming the type of person that naturally attracts good people into your life. And maybe that's why I've never felt like I was missing out, because I've always believed there's more to life than the next party, the next drink, or the next weekend. I want to build something. I want to pursue goals that matter. I want strong relationships. I want financial freedom. I want good health. I want a life that I'm excited to wake up to every morning. And for me personally, alcohol has never seemed like something that would help me get there. The reality is that alcohol becomes dangerous when it starts taking more from your life than it gives back. If it's hurting your finances, that's a problem. If it's hurting your health, that's a problem. If it's hurting your relationships, that's a problem. If it's making you less productive, less disciplined, or keeping you from becoming the person you want to be, that's a problem. So whether you drink or not, here's the question I'd leave you with. Is the life you're living today moving you closer to the person you want to become? Because that's the question that matters far more than whatever's in your cup. And for me, that's the real reason I never felt the need to drink. But now that you understand why I've chosen to live differently than most people my age, there's a complete blueprint for your 20s in a way that puts you so far ahead of everyone else that most people won't even realize what happened until it's too late. So, check out this video where I reveal how to get ahead of 99% of people in your 20s, because choosing not to drink is just one piece of a bigger mindset that separates the people who build something meaningful from everyone else.